I made my first six figures by the time I was about 24, and in this video, I'm gonna share with you how I did it. I remember the exact moment I looked at my bank account and saw the first $100,000 in it, and trust me guys, at the time, it felt like it was $1 million. Of course, I've gone on to make even more since then and has reached new levels, but still, that was one of the most special moments in my life, well, at least my financial life. You see, I didn't grow up with much, and I always knew growing up that I wanted to make a lot of money, and so I tried doing all sorts of things. You name it, I've done it. But there are some things that many people associate success with that I didn't do. Firstly, I never woke up early. In fact, I was a night owl and I prefer to stay up to like 3 or 4 in the morning. That's just how my body seems to be wired, which made it difficult to function in society because it always felt like I was constantly trying to play catch up with the rest of the world. Also, I didn't take cold showers like a lot of these success gurus tell you to. I didn't meditate, I didn't write in a journal, and maybe I would have made more money if I did do those things, which is why I'm finally starting them now. But back in my 20s, I had a different set of habits that I think contributed to me being able to make my first 6 figures. Starting with constantly building relationships. Now there's a saying that goes, your network equals your net worth. And also another one that goes along the lines of, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And I believe this has been true for me because my initial success in business had been largely thanks to the people that I connected with who were able to open up doors for me and allow for new opportunities to be created. And I'm very thankful for it. Whatever business or career path that you're in, it's important to constantly connect with people, and at every chance that you get, try and get to know someone new. Whether you're at an event or a social gathering, because you never know who you might meet and how this person might be able to help you in the long run. So even now, whenever I attend an event, I try to talk to as many people as I possibly can, not with the specific intention of growing my network, but just to meet new friends. And so I don't believe in exchanging business cards and all of that because that's just too formal, and to me it's just weird. I'd rather connect on a more personal level, and that also means instead of adding each other on LinkedIn or whatever, I usually just have us follow each other on Instagram because that way it's actually easier for us to keep in touch and they can see what I'm up to whenever I post in my stories without me needing to constantly be texting them to keep in contact. The next habit I had was to constantly focus on learning and growing, and I was reading countless books, mostly on finance and personal development, and I was attending seminars, courses, learning about investing and other aspects of business like marketing and sales. And this truly helped me in terms of growing my business and of course my income. One of my favorite books on money of all time is this one called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I first read it when I was in my early 20s, and this book played a huge impact in my understanding of money and wealth and how it all works. In fact, I still practice a lot of the things taught in this book even till today. A lot of what he talks about revolve around this idea that our lives are the product of our thoughts and the thought patterns that were shaped by our parents or the environment we grew up in. For a lot of people, they unconsciously reproduce the same mindset and habits that their parents had about money. And in order to truly build wealth and become rich, you have to break out of these patterns and belief systems. So for me, I found that to be very relatable, and it led to a huge paradigm shift, and I almost immediately could see results in my ability to earn more and grow my income. The next habit I had was to save and set aside money into a savings account every single month. And specifically, I set up a separate bank account where it was difficult for me to access. So I could easily transfer money into it, but withdrawing from it wasn't so easy. I had one of those accounts that didn't have an ATM card or debit card, and I set a PIN number and password that I couldn't easily remember. So even if I wanted to withdraw the money, I had to physically go to the bank to do it. Now, I'm not saying you need to go through such extreme lengths, but that was what worked for me. And because of that, I was able to easily put away a good chunk of my income and not even think about it because I simply couldn't even access it. This one habit alone contributed to me being able to save almost $10,000 a year, where I would just constantly deposit a tiny percentage of whatever money I made through the different businesses I was running at the time. In fact, I would go as far as to say that saving money is the one single most important habit that got me to the point of being able to achieve financial freedom. It's totally underrated and not enough people are doing it. Sure, there are finance experts that say you shouldn't bother saving because of inflation and all that, but for most people, I think it is one of the best places to start. You could open a high yield savings account and begin depositing 5% or 10% of your monthly income into it. Or better yet, set up automatic payments to automatically transfer the amount that you set into the account. Alright, the next habit that led me to making my first six figures in my 20s was to push myself and overcome any fear and doubt. Earlier on, I decided not to choose the safe route of, getting a college degree and then getting a job and going the safe, stable route. Instead, I had a do or die mindset where it was pretty much just get rich or die trying. So, of course, it was a lot of pressure and stress, but honestly, it was one of the best decisions that I had made because not only did it help me grow financially, it also helped me to grow as a person. Like, I developed this belief that I could overcome any problem that came my way, which is actually one of the lessons that I learned from the book we talked about earlier, The Secret to the Millionaire Mind, where it talks about being bigger than any problem that you face. So I constantly remind myself of this, and even from time to time when I face any sort of fear or uncertainty in business or in life for that matter, I remind myself to be bigger than the problem. So if there's something that you've been meaning to do but you've been holding back because of fear, doubt, or uncertainty, whether it be to start a business or apply for a new job or quit your job or whatever it might be, you might want to just take a deep breath and just do it. Just do it scared and trust that everything will be okay in the end because you'll always figure it out. For me, this mindset has really served me well because in 2020 when COVID happened, I was living overseas and had to come back because I couldn't get my visa renewed. And then at the same time, my business took a huge hit, and when I came back, I ended up homeless. I mean, not literally, like I wasn't sleeping on the streets or whatever, but I had to rent Airbnbs and live in my girlfriend's mom's house for a couple of months until I figured things out and got my own place again. While it was a rough 1 to 2 years, I eventually built my life back up to where I'm able to live comfortably again. Okay, the next habit I had was to learn and become aware of my own personal finance and also about how money works. And this helped me to identify the difference between earned income from a job versus an income that comes from a business. And while yes, it's both money, but they're not the same. See, with a job, I'm gonna need to put in the hours, commute to work, grind it out, do the 9 to 5, and then earn the salary, which is pretty much fixed because I only have 24 hours in a day. But with a business, I have the option to scale my income. Like, let's say if I were in a business selling pens, for example, I could contact more bookstores or schools and sell them more pens. And instead of me having to do any manual labor myself, I can just get the pen factories in China or wherever to make more of those pens, and that could increase my income without needing to do more work on my part. This is of course an oversimplification, but I learned that with a business, you get to leverage on systems, on hiring people to do the work for you, and this way, your income isn't directly tied to your time or effort. Of course, entrepreneurship isn't suitable for everyone, but for me, it just felt like it made the most sense because I'd rather spend most of my time doing the things that I enjoy rather than having to go to work at a job. But out of all the habits that I had, I think there's one that's the most important and had the biggest contribution to my success, and that was to be committed and focus on growing my business, regardless of what it took. So in my early 20s, I didn't go out to party, I didn't hang out with my friends a whole lot. Actually, I didn't even really have a lot of friends at the time, simply because I didn't want to spend time just hanging out and not do anything productive. It's a lot different to how I am now, where I do enjoy a nice night out once in a while, but back then, all I ever did was to work on growing my business. I was either doing meetings or traveling to conduct sales presentations. I was basically flying to a different city every week. And even then, I would stay at like the cheapest motels, and believe me guys, a lot of them look sketchy as hell, but it was all because I was trying to save money. I didn't do anything for fun specifically, so even my girlfriend and I would end up arguing a lot because I wouldn't even be willing to go out and watch a movie or whatever because I was just so caught up with hustling and only doing stuff that was directly related to my business. In hindsight though, I don't think it was a very healthy approach, but if you were to ask any successful entrepreneur, I think they would probably agree that it might be necessary for you to have a 1 or 2 year period of deep focus where you do nothing else in order to build something significant and see success. So those are the habits that I think led me to making my first 6 figures in my 20s. And I still remember I was out having lunch with my girlfriend. I checked my account balance and saw that it had crossed the $100,000 mark. And I was so happy and excited to show it to her. And at that point, I knew that there was no looking back and I was gonna go all in and continue hustling and building my business. But having said all that, I did also make a ton of mistakes that ended up causing me to lose a lot of money. In fact, I lost over 6 figures. And I recently made a full entire video about it. So make sure you guys check it out here so that you'll know better and be able to avoid making the same mistakes. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please drop a like and consider subscribing if you haven't. For now, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.